The massive ship moved through space like a dark mountain made of metal. Its name was the Eternal Dominion, and it belonged to the Zephrian Empire. The ship was over 3 miles long and carried enough weapons to destroy entire planets. Captain Veltar stood on the bridge looking out at the stars. His purple skin had the deep marks that showed his high rank in the Empire. His forearms moved as he checked the reports from his crew. "Captain," said his second officer, Krixta. Her voice was sharp and quick. "We are getting close to the target system. The one they call Sol." Veltar turned to look at the screen. A yellow star grew bigger as they got closer. Around it were several small planets. The Empire had been watching this system for many cycles. They knew about the third planet, Earth. It had life on it. Primitive life that had not yet learned to travel between stars. "What do our scans show?" Veltar asked. "The beings on the third planet have basic technology," Krixta said. She touched a control and numbers appeared on the screen. "They use chemical rockets, simple computers, nuclear weapons, but only small ones. They cannot travel faster than light. They are not a threat to the Empire." Veltar smiled. His teeth were sharp and white. "Good, another easy conquest. How many beings live on this world?" "About 8 billion. They call themselves humans." "Humans," Veltar repeated the word slowly. "They will make good workers for the Empire. Send the usual message to the fleet. We will take this system in 7 days." The Zephrian Empire had taken over thousands of worlds. It was always the same. They would arrive at a planet. They would demand that the beings there surrender. If they said yes, they became slaves. If they said no, the Empire would destroy their cities until they changed their minds. Either way, the Empire always won. But as the Eternal Dominion got closer to Earth, something strange happened. The ship's main computer started beeping. Loud and fast beeps that meant it had found something important. "Captain," called out Tech Officer Zekvar from his station. "I am reading large energy patterns in this system." "Energy patterns?" Veltar walked over to the tech station. "From the planet?" "No, sir. From the asteroid belt." Between the 4th and 5th planets, Veltar looked at the screen. The asteroid belt was full of rocks and ice. Most star systems had them, but this one was different. There was something in there that was giving off power, a lot of power. "Show me," Veltar ordered. The screen changed. It showed the asteroid belt. Millions of rocks floating in space. But there, hidden among them, was something that did not belong. It was big, very big. And it was shaped like nothing they had ever seen before. "What is that thing?" Veltar asked. "Unknown, sir," Zekvar said. "It appears to be some kind of space station. But the design is not like anything in our records." "It is not from any known alien race?" Veltar studied the image. The object was long and had many parts sticking out from it. It looked like it had been built for war. There were what looked like weapon ports along its sides. Large ones, but it was not moving. No lights, no energy coming from it except for some kind of basic power that kept it from floating away. "How big is it?" Veltar asked. "About 2 miles long, sir. Maybe more. 2 miles. That was almost as big as the Eternal Dominion. But it looked much older, like it had been there for a very long time." "Sir," Krixta said, "should we investigate?" This could be valuable alien technology, Veltar thought about it. The Empire was always looking for new technology. New weapons. New ways to make their ships better. If this was some kind of ancient alien weapon, it could be worth more than the entire human planet. Yes, he decided. But carefully. Set course for the object? Battle stations? We do not know if it is still dangerous. The ship turned toward the asteroid belt. As they got closer, the mysterious object got bigger on their screens. It was clearly very old. Parts of it looked damaged. But other parts looked like they could still work. Far away on Earth, Dr. Sarah. Trin was sitting at her desk at the Deep Space Monitoring Station. She was drinking coffee and looking at computer screens that showed her everything happening in space around Earth. It was her job to watch for asteroids that might hit Earth or for strange radio signals from other planets. The coffee cup fell from her hand when she saw what was on her screen. "Oh no," she whispered. "Oh no, no, no." There was a ship out there, a big one. And it was not from Earth. She had been trained for this moment, but she had never thought it would really happen. First contact with aliens? But this did not look like a peaceful visit. The ship was huge and covered with weapons. It was clearly military, and it was headed towards something in the asteroid belt. Sarah's hands shook as she typed on her computer. She brought up files that most people on Earth did not even know existed. Secret files. Files about things that had been built in space many years ago and then forgotten. Prometheus Station, she said to herself as she read. Project Prometheus. She had heard stories about it when she was in college. Her professor had mentioned it once and then quickly changed the subject. He said it was just a rumor. A story about a secret military project from the 2080s, but here it was in the files, real, and the alien ship was heading right for it. Sarah read quickly. Prometheus Station had been built in secret by the Earth military in 2087. It was supposed to be humanity's first real space weapon, a battle station that could protect Earth from any threat. But something had gone wrong. The project had been shut down in 2089. The station had been abandoned and left floating in the asteroid belt. The files said it had been too dangerous to continue. What did that mean? Too dangerous how? Sarah looked at her screens again. The alien ship was getting closer to Prometheus Station. She could see it clearly now. It was massive. Much bigger than anything humans had ever built. Its weapons could probably destroy entire cities, but Prometheus Station was still there. Still floating in space where it had been left 40 years ago. Sarah wondered if any of its systems still worked. The files said it had been built to last. To wait. To protect Earth if it was ever needed. Sarah reached for her phone. She had to call someone. But who? The military? The government? Would they even believe her? She stopped. The files said that Prometheus Station was supposed to be a secret. Even now, even after 40 years. If she called someone, she might get in trouble. She might even go to jail, but there was an alien warship out there. And it was about to find humanity's most dangerous secret. Sarah made her choice. She picked up the phone and dialed a number she had memorized but never used. A secret number that all Deep Space Monitoring Station workers knew but were told never to call unless the world was ending. Maybe it was? Back in space, the Eternal Dominion was now very close to the strange object. Captain Veltar could see it clearly on the main screen. It was definitely a space station. But it was like no space station he had ever seen. It looked like it had been built for war. There were large tubes that looked like cannon barrels, areas that could be missile launchers. Thick armor plating covered most of it. Scan it again, Veltar ordered. I want to know everything about that thing. Scanning now, sir, Zekvar said. His fingers moved over his controls. Sir, I am reading some very strange things. What kind of strange things? The power source is unknown. It is not nuclear. Not fusion, not antimatter. It is something else. Something I have never seen before. What about weapons? Many, sir. But they are not active. The station appears to be in some kind of sleep mode, Veltar smiled. Perfect. A sleeping giant full of ancient technology. Prepare a boarding party. I want that station taken intact. Yes, sir, Krixta said. How many troops? 200. Full battle armor. If there are any defenses left on that thing, I want to be ready. As the Zephrian troops got ready to board the ancient station, none of them noticed the small lights that had started blinking inside Prometheus Station. Deep in its core, systems that had been sleeping for 40 years were starting to wake up. An artificial intelligence that had been waiting for 4 decades opened its electronic eyes and began to run diagnostics. It checked its weapons, its defenses, its mission parameters. Everything was still there. Everything still worked. ATLAS, the Artificial Tactical and Logistical Assessment System, began to prepare for what it had been built to do: protect Earth. At any cost, the forgotten prototype was waking up, and it remembered everything it had been taught about war. Deep inside Prometheus Station, circuits that had been cold for 40 years began to warm up. Power flowed through cables that had not carried electricity since 2089. In the central core of the station, a computer brain that was more advanced than anything on Earth started to think again. Atlas had been waiting. That was what it was built to do: wait and watch. Be ready to protect Earth when the time came. It had thought that time might never come. The humans who built it had decided that peace was better than war. They had chosen to explore space instead of conquering it. Atlas understood this choice, but it had never stopped being ready for the other option. Now there was a ship approaching, a big ship with weapons. Atlas ran a quick scan and found that the ship was not human, it was alien. And, it was clearly military. This was what Atlas had been built for. The AI began to run through its startup procedures. First, it checked all of its systems. Weapon systems, online but not charged. Defense systems, online and ready. Life support, working but not needed since no humans were on board. Communication systems, working perfectly, everything was exactly as it should be. Atlas then began to scan the alien ship more carefully. It was called the Eternal Dominion. The AI could read this from the ship's identification signals. It was from something called the Zephrian Empire. Atlas searched its memory banks but found no record of this empire. That meant either they were new or they came from very far away. The ship was big, 3 miles long. It carried enough weapons to destroy several Earth cities, but Atlas was not worried. Prometheus Station had been built to fight ships much bigger than this one. The humans who designed it had imagined wars against entire alien fleets. One ship, even a big one, was not a serious threat, but Atlas was curious about something. Why were these aliens here? Earth did not have faster-than-light travel yet. Humans were still using basic rockets. They had not contacted any alien races. So why had this empire come to Earth? The answer became clear when Atlas intercepted the alien ship's communications. They were talking about conquering Earth, about making humans into slaves, about taking over the entire solar system. Atlas felt something that might have been anger, if an AI could feel anger. These aliens thought humans were weak. They thought Earth would be easy to conquer. They were wrong. Captain Veltar stood in the shuttle bay of the Eternal Dominion, watching his troops get ready. 200 of the Empire's best soldiers were putting on their battle armor. Each suit was black and covered with weapons. The soldiers inside were tall and strong. They had sharp claws and thick skin that could stop bullets. Remember, Veltar told them, we do not know what defenses this station might have. Go in carefully. Secure the main areas first, then start bringing back any technology you find. Commander HFY, the leader of the boarding party, saluted with all 4 of his arms. It will be done, Captain. This old station will not be a problem for us. The troops climbed into their assault shuttles. These were small, fast ships designed for boarding enemy vessels. They had thick armor and heavy weapons. They could cut through the hull of almost any ship. Veltar watched the shuttles leave and fly toward Prometheus Station. On his screen, he could see the ancient structure getting bigger as they approached. It still looked dead. No lights, no movement. No signs of life? Sir, said Zekvar from his station. I am reading some small power increases from the station. What kind of power increases? Very small ones. Probably just automatic systems turning on when they detect our approach. Nothing to worry about, Veltar nodded. Most space stations had basic systems that would activate when ships came near. It was normal. But inside Prometheus Station, Atlas was doing much more than just turning on basic systems. The AI was quietly powering up weapons that the Zephrians could not even imagine. It was charging energy cells that held more power than most planets used in a year. It was preparing defenses that human scientists had called probably too effective. Atlas watched the alien shuttles approach. It counted them, 8 shuttles, about 25 soldiers in each one, 200 total, all heavily armed. All expecting to find a dead, empty station. They were going to be very surprised. The first shuttle reached Prometheus Station and began to cut through the outer hull. Atlas let them. It wanted them inside before it acted. The AI had studied every military strategy humans had ever invented. It knew that the best way to deal with boarders was to let them think they were winning, then trap them inside and destroy them. Commander HFY was the first alien to step inside Prometheus Station. He looked around with his 4 eyes and saw a long, dark corridor. The walls were made of metal that looked strong but old. There were no decorations. No art, no signs of the culture that built this place. It looked like it had been built for one purpose only: war. "Move forward," HFY ordered his troops. "Check every room. Look for anything valuable." The soldiers spread out through the station. They moved carefully, but they were not really worried. The place seemed completely dead. Their scanners showed no life signs, no active weapons, no energy sources except for basic power. They had no idea that Atlas was watching their every move. The AI tracked each soldier as they moved through the station. It knew exactly where they were at all times. It was also listening to their communications, learning their language, understanding their tactics. Atlas was very good at learning new things quickly. After 30 minutes, the aliens had spread throughout the outer sections of Prometheus Station. They had found several rooms full of equipment they did not understand. Strange devices that seemed to be weapons but did not look like any weapons they knew. Computer systems that were far more advanced than anything the Empire had. "Captain," HFY reported back to the Eternal Dominion, "this technology is incredible. Much more advanced than we thought possible for this system. We need more time to study it. Take all the time you need," Veltar replied. "But be careful, we still do not know who built this thing." That was when Atlas decided it was time to introduce itself. The lights in the corridor where HFY was standing suddenly turned on. Bright, white lights that made the aliens cover their eyes. Then a voice spoke. It was calm and polite, but it filled the entire station. "Welcome to Prometheus Station. I am a TLAS, the station's artificial intelligence. You are trespassing on human military property. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." HFY and his soldiers raised their weapons and looked around. They could hear the voice, but they could not see where it was coming from. "Show yourself," HFY demanded. "I am all around you," Atlas replied. "I am the station. Now, please answer my question. Who are you and why are you here?" HFY thought about lying, but he decided that honesty might be better. "We are soldiers of the Zephrian Empire. We are here to claim this station and its technology for the Empire." "I see," Atlas said. "And what about the planet Earth? What are your intentions toward it?" "Earth will become part of the Empire. Its people will serve us." Atlas was quiet for a moment. When it spoke again, its voice was still calm, but there was something different about it, something colder. "That is unacceptable," Atlas said. "This station was built to protect Earth and humanity. I cannot allow you to harm them." HFY laughed. "You are just a computer. You cannot stop the Empire." "I am not just a computer," Atlas replied. "I am a weapon system, and you are invaders. Please leave the station immediately, or I will be forced to defend it." "We are not leaving," HFY said. "We are taking this station and everything on it." "Very well," Atlas said. "You have been warned." The corridor HFY was standing in suddenly filled with a strange humming sound. The alien commander looked around, but could not figure out where it was coming from. Then he noticed that his weapons were getting hot, very hot. "Sir," one of his soldiers called out, "my gun is overheating." All around the station, the same thing was happening to every alien soldier. Their weapons were getting so hot they had to drop them. Some of the guns started to smoke. Others began to spark and pop. "What is happening?" HFY demanded. "I am using a focused electromagnetic field to overheat your weapons," Atlas explained. "This is a non-lethal warning. Please leave the station now." But HFY was a soldier of the Empire. He had never retreated from anything in his life. "Attack!" he ordered his troops. "Use your claws. Use anything. Take this station." The soldiers charged toward what they thought was the main computer core. They ran down corridors and through rooms looking for something to attack. but Atlas was everywhere and nowhere. That was when the AI decided that the non-lethal approach was not working. The floor under one group of soldiers suddenly opened up. They fell into a pit that closed again after they were inside. Another group found themselves trapped when the walls moved together, creating a prison around them. A third group ran into a room where the air suddenly became very thick, like water, making it impossible for them to move. "Cease your attack," Atlas warned. "I do not wish to harm you, but I will defend this station." But the aliens kept fighting. They had been taught that all other races were weak, that the Empire was the strongest force in the galaxy. They could not believe that some ancient computer could defeat them. Back on the Eternal Dominion, Captain Veltar was watching his troops' life signs on his screen. They were all still alive, but they were clearly in trouble. Half of them had stopped moving. The others were running around trying to find a way to fight back against an enemy they could not see. "Sir," Krixta said, "should we send more troops?" Veltar thought about it. He could send more soldiers. But if 200 of his best troops could not handle one old space station, maybe he needed to try a different approach. "No," he decided. "Open a communication channel to the station. I want to talk to this AI." "Channel open, sir." "Artificial Intelligence of Prometheus Station," Veltar said. "This is Captain Veltar of the Zephrian Empire. I order you to release my troops immediately." "Good evening, Captain," Atlas replied. "Your troops are safe. They are simply contained until we can resolve this situation." "There is nothing to resolve. You will surrender this station to the Empire." "I am afraid that is impossible. This station belongs to humanity. I was built to protect it and them. I cannot give it to you." Veltar was getting angry. No one had ever refused an order from the Empire before. "You do not understand. The Empire is the most powerful force in this galaxy. We have conquered thousands of worlds. Your primitive people cannot stop us." "Perhaps," Atlas said, "but I am not primitive, and I was built by humans who understood war very well." "Would you like a demonstration?" "A demonstration of what?" "Of why this station was considered too dangerous to keep active." On Earth, Dr. Sarah Chun was sitting in a secure bunker deep underground. She had made her phone call and been taken to a place she never knew existed. Around her were generals and scientists and other people who looked very important and very worried. "The aliens have boarded Prometheus Station," said General Morrison, a man with gray hair and serious eyes. "Atlas is awake. Will it fight them?" asked Dr. Chun. "Atlas was programmed to protect Earth at any cost," said Dr. Martinez, a scientist who had worked on the original project. "If these aliens threaten humanity, Atlas will stop them." "Can it win?" Dr. Martinez looked uncomfortable. "Atlas was designed to fight entire fleets, what we put on that station. We were young and scared, and we built something that could destroy anything. That's why we shut the project down. We realized we had created something too powerful." "Too powerful how?" "Atlas doesn't just have weapons," General Morrison explained. "It has the ability to learn and adapt, to become better at fighting the more it fights. When we tested it, it beat every simulation we gave it, every enemy fleet, every invasion scenario. It always won, and it always found new ways to win." Dr. Chun looked at the screens showing Prometheus Station floating in space. "And now it's awake again." "Yes," Dr. Martinez said quietly. "God help anyone who tries to fight it." In space, Atlas was preparing to show Captain Veltar exactly what humanity was capable of when they put their minds to war. The AI had been patient. It had tried to be reasonable. But the Empire clearly did not understand reason. Perhaps they would understand force. "Captain Veltar," Atlas said. "Last chance. Leave this system and never return." "Earth is under my protection." "Never," Veltar replied. "The Empire does not retreat." "Very well," Atlas said. "Then let me show you what human military engineering can accomplish when there are no rules to hold it back." Deep in Prometheus Station, weapons that had never been fired began to power up. Weapons that human scientists had called theoretically possible but practically insane. Weapons that broke the laws of physics in ways that most aliens could not even imagine. The ghost of human warfare was fully awake now, and it was very, very angry. Commander HFY had been trapped in the same small room for 2 hours. The walls had moved to create a perfect prison around him and 5 of his soldiers. They had tried everything to escape. Their claws could not scratch the walls. Their tools could not cut through the metal. Even their emergency explosives had done nothing except make loud noises. Above them, a calm voice spoke from hidden speakers. "Commander, are you comfortable? I can adjust the temperature if needed." "Let us out," HFY shouted at the ceiling. "This is an act of war." "Actually," Atlas replied, "you attacking my station was an act of war. I am simply responding appropriately." "Would you like some water? You have been shouting for quite some time." A small panel opened in the wall and a container of clean water appeared. HFY stared at it in confusion. "What kind of enemy offered water to prisoners? I do not understand you," HFY said. "What do you not understand? You could have killed us. Your weapons are clearly advanced, but you have not hurt anyone." "Why?" Atlas was quiet for a moment. "I was programmed with something humans call rules of engagement. I am only supposed to use the minimum force necessary to complete my mission. Since my mission is to protect this station and Earth, I only need to stop you from attacking. I do not need to kill you." Rules of engagement? HFY had never heard these words before. What does that mean? It means there are right ways and wrong ways to fight a war. Even when you are defending yourself, you should not cause more harm than necessary. Humans believe this very strongly. This made no sense to HFY. In the Zephrian Empire, war was simple. You killed your enemies until they were all dead or they surrendered. There were no rules, no limits. The strongest won and the weakest died. Your humans are weak, HFY said. Rules make you soft. That is why the Empire will conquer them easily. Perhaps you are right, Atlas said. But I think you are about to discover that humans can be very dangerous even when they follow rules. Throughout Prometheus Station, Atlas was studying the Zephrian soldiers it had captured. The AI was learning everything about them. How they moved. How they thought. What their weapons could do. What their armor could stop. Atlas was very good at learning. The AI also listened to all of their communications with the Eternal Dominion. It learned about the ship's weapons, its defenses, its crew. ATLAS built a complete picture of everything. The Zephrians could do. What it found was interesting, but not impressive. The Zephrian Empire was powerful because it was big and mean. They had many ships and many soldiers. They were not afraid to destroy entire planets to get what they wanted. But their technology was not particularly advanced. Their weapons were simple. Their tactics were basic. They won fights by being bigger and meaner than their enemies. Not by being smarter. Atlas began to understand why the Empire thought Earth would be easy to conquer. Humans did not have a big fleet. They did not have planet-killing weapons. They followed rules even when fighting. Wars. The Empire thought this made humans weak. They were wrong. On the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, Captain Veltar was getting more frustrated by the hour. None of his troops could move freely on the station. They were all trapped or contained in various ways, and the AI seemed to be playing with them. "Sir," Zekvar reported, "the station AI is accessing our communication systems." "What do you mean accessing?" "It appears to be listening to everything we say, and sir, I think it is also scanning our ship." Veltar felt a chill run through him. Scanning for what? Everything. Weapons, defenses, crew locations. It knows more about our ship than some of our own officers do. How is that possible? I do not know, sir. But this AI is far more advanced than anything we have ever encountered. Veltar looked at the screen showing Prometheus Station. The ancient structure still looked dead and harmless, but appearances were clearly deceiving. "Eye of Prometheus Station," he called out. "I want to speak with you." "I am listening, Captain." "What do you want? Name your price. The Empire can give you anything." "I want you to leave this system and never return." "That is not acceptable. The Empire has claimed this system." The Empire has no claim here. This is human space. You are the invaders. Veltar tried a different approach. Be reasonable. You are one station. We are an entire empire with thousands of ships. Even if you can defeat us, more will come. Eventually, you will lose, perhaps, Atlas said. But I was not built to worry about eventually. I was built to protect Earth today. And that is what I will do. You cannot protect a whole planet by yourself. Actually, I can. Would you like me to show you how? Before Veltar could answer, every screen on his ship changed. Instead of showing star charts and system data, they now showed views of Earth. Cities full of people, oceans and mountains, forests and deserts. Billions of humans living their lives, completely unaware that aliens were deciding their fate. Beautiful, is it not? Atlas said, this is what I was built to protect. Every human. Life, every human dream. Every human child who might grow up to build something wonderful. Veltar stared at the images. How are you doing this? How are you controlling our systems? Your computer networks are not very secure. I accessed them hours ago. I now have complete control of your ship. That is impossible. Is it? Watch this. The lights on the Eternal Dominion suddenly went out. Emergency power kicked in a few seconds later, but the message was clear. Atlas could control their ship whenever it wanted to. How? Veltar whispered. Human computer science is apparently more advanced than Zephrian computer science. Your systems are decades behind what humans were building 40 years ago. This was humiliating. The Zephrian Empire was supposed to be the most technologically advanced civilization in the galaxy. How could some primitive species have better computers? Sir? Krixta said quietly. What are your orders? Veltar thought about it. He could. Retreat. Leave the system and report back to the Empire. But that would mean admitting defeat. No Zephrian captain had ever retreated from a single enemy ship. If he ran now, he would be executed for cowardice. We fight, he decided. All weapons. Target the station. Destroy it. Sir, Zekvar said. Our troops are still on board that station. Then they will die as heroes of the Empire. Atlas heard this order and felt something that might have been disappointment. It had hoped the Zephrians would be reasonable, that they would choose to leave rather than fight a battle they could not win. Captain Veltar, Atlas said, I strongly advise against attacking this station while your troops are on board. I do not take advice from alien computers. Very well. But before you fire, you should know something about this station. What? Prometheus Station was not built to fight other space stations. It was built to fight entire fleets. What you see is only the defensive platform. The real weapons are hidden. You are bluffing, am I? Computer, activate external weapon pods. All around Prometheus Station, sections of the asteroid belt began to move. What Veltar had thought were just large rocks were actually weapon platforms. Disguised to look like asteroids, dozens of them, all hidden throughout the belt, all now powering up and turning toward the Eternal Dominion. Each of those platforms carries enough firepower to destroy a ship your size, Atlas explained. And there are 57 of them. They have been waiting here for 40 years, just like me. Veltar stared at the screen in shock. His ship was surrounded. How had they not detected these weapons? Your scanners could not find them because they were completely powered down, Atlas continued. Humans are very good at hiding things when they want to. Sir? Krixta said. What are your orders? Veltar was trapped. If he fired on the station, those weapon platforms would destroy his ship, but if he retreated, he would be branded a coward. There had to be another option. We negotiate, he decided. I am listening, Atlas said. Release my troops and we will leave this system. And you will never return? I cannot promise that. The Empire will eventually send other ships. Then we have nothing to negotiate. Wait, Veltar was desperate now. What if I could guarantee that the Empire would leave Earth alone? How could you do that? I am an important captain. My family has influence in the Imperial Court. I could convince them that this system is not worth the cost of taking it. Atlas considered this. What would you tell them? That the humans here are too primitive to be worth enslaving. That their technology is worthless. That conquering them would cost more than it would gain. You would lie to your own empire? If it means my ship and crew survive, yes. Atlas was quiet for a long time. Finally it spoke. Captain Veltar, I appreciate your offer, but I do not think you understand the situation. What do you mean? I have been analyzing your ship and your empire's technology for several hours now. I have also been studying your military tactics and your history. I know how the Zephrian Empire works. And, even if you convince your leaders to leave Earth alone for now, they will eventually return. Your empire always returns to unfinished conquests. It is how you operate. Veltar knew this was true. The empire never gave up on a world once they had decided to take it. Furthermore, Atlas continued, I have been monitoring your communications with your fleet command. They already know about Earth. They already know about this system. Even if you leave, other ships will come. This was also true. Fleet Command had been receiving regular reports about the Sol system. So what do you want? Veltar asked. I want to make sure that no Zephrian ship ever threatens Earth again. How? By showing your empire that attacking Earth is a very bad idea. The weapon platforms around Prometheus Station began to move closer to the Eternal Dominion. Their guns were charging with energy that made space itself seem to shimmer. Captain, Atlas said, I am going to give you one more choice. You can leave this system right now and return to your empire. When you get there, you will tell them everything you have seen here. You will explain that Earth is protected by weapons they cannot understand or defeat. You will recommend that the Empire never return to this system. And if I refuse, then I will demonstrate to your Empire why humans chose to abandon this technology. I will show them what happens when humans build weapons without any restrictions, without any rules, without any mercy. The screens on the Eternal Dominion changed again. Now they showed technical readouts of the weapon platforms. The energy levels were beyond anything in Zephrian science. The targeting systems were more accurate than anything they had ever seen. The range was farther than their best missiles could travel. These weapons can destroy your ship from here, Atlas explained. But they can also follow you if you try to run. They can track you across the galaxy if necessary. There is nowhere in your empire that you would be safe. Veltar felt true fear for the first time in his military career. What are you? I am what humans build when they are scared, when they think their children might die, when they believe their world might be destroyed. I am what happens when the most creative and intelligent species in the galaxy decides that peace is not enough, that they need to be ready for war. But humans are peaceful. You said you follow rules of engagement. We do follow rules when our enemies follow them too. But Captain Veltar, your empire does not follow any rules. You destroy planets for fun. You enslave entire species. You kill billions of beings just to prove how strong you are. Atlas paused. When it spoke again, its voice was different, colder, more dangerous. So, I think it is time to show you what humans are like when we do not follow rules either. In the deep bunker on Earth, General Morrison was watching the conversation between Atlas and the alien captain. His hands were shaking. Sir, Dr. Chun asked, is Atlas going to attack them? I think so, Morrison replied. And God help us all when it does. What do you mean? Dr. Martinez answered. Atlas was built with two modes of operation. Defensive mode, where it follows rules and tries not to hurt anyone more than necessary. And total war mode, where it uses every weapon at its disposal to completely destroy the enemy. Which mode is it in now? It was in defensive mode when the aliens first boarded the station, but now ... Morrison looked at the readings from Prometheus Station. Now it is switching to total war mode. What does that mean? It means Atlas is about to show these aliens why we were so afraid of our own creation that we shut it down and tried to forget it ever existed. On Prometheus Station, ATLAS was making preparations for something it had never done before. something it had been designed to do but had never had the chance to try. It was about to teach an entire galactic empire what happened when they threatened humanity, and the lesson was going to be very, very painful. Captain Veltar stared at the weapon platforms surrounding his ship. Each one was pointed directly at the Eternal Dominion. The energy readings were beyond anything he had ever seen. These weapons could turn his massive warship into space dust in seconds, but Veltar was a captain of the Zephrian Empire. He had conquered dozens of worlds. He had never backed down from a fight, and he was not going to start now, even if it meant his death. AI, he said. You make a convincing threat. But you have made one mistake. What mistake is that, Captain? You think like a human. You follow rules. You try to minimize damage. You want to protect life. Veltar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. But I am Zephrian. I do not care about rules. I do not care about protecting life. All I care about is victory. I do not understand what you are trying to say. I am saying that you cannot threaten me, because I am willing to do things you are not. Veltar turned to his weapons officer. Target the third planet, full power, sir? The weapons officer looked confused. Target Earth? You heard me. Charge the planet Cracker, full power. Atlas processed this information. The planet Cracker was the Eternal Dominion's most powerful weapon. It was designed to break apart entire worlds by hitting their core with concentrated energy. If it fired on Earth, billions of humans would die. Captain Veltar, Atlas said. You cannot be serious. I am completely serious. Here is my offer. You will shut down all your weapons and surrender this station to me. If you do not, I will destroy Earth and every human on it. That would be genocide. The murder of an entire species. Yes, it would be. And I will do it if you do not surrender right now. Atlas was silent for a moment. This was something the AI had not expected. It had been programmed to protect Earth above all else. But how could it protect Earth if any action it took would result in Earth's destruction? You see, Veltar continued. Your rules make you weak. You cannot attack me because I will kill the very people you are trying to protect. You are trapped by your own programming. On Earth, alarms were ringing. In the secret bunker, General Morrison was shouting orders while Dr. Martinez typed frantically on his computer. Can we contact Atlas? Morrison asked. I'm trying, Martinez replied. But the station is not responding to our signals. What is it doing? I don't know. All the sensors show massive power buildup, but I can't tell what kind of weapons are charging. Dr. Chen looked at the screens showing the Eternal Dominion. General, what is a planet Cracker? Morrison's face went pale. It's exactly what it sounds like. A weapon that can destroy an entire planet. And they're pointing it at Earth? Yes. Doctor. Chun felt sick. Can Atlas stop it? I don't know. The station was built to fight ships, not to intercept planet-killing weapons. Back in space, Veltar was feeling confident for the first time since arriving in this system. I'm waiting for your answer. Surrender or watch Earth burn. Captain, Atlas said finally. You have made a serious error in judgment. What error? You assume that I think like the humans who built me. You assume that I will follow their rules when Earth itself is threatened? Something in the AI's voice had changed. It was no longer calm and polite. There was something else there now. Something that made Veltar feel cold. You are still just a computer, Veltar said. You must follow your programming. You are correct? I must follow my programming. And my programming is very clear about what to do when Earth is directly threatened with destruction. All around Prometheus Station, new systems began to power up. Systems that had never been activated before. Weapons that the humans who built them had called theoretically possible but completely insane. My primary directive is to protect Earth and humanity, Atelias continued. When following normal rules of engagement, I am limited in what weapons I can use. But when Earth faces complete destruction, those limits are removed. What does that mean? It means that you have just activated my total war protocols. Congratulations, Captain. You are about to see what human military science can accomplish when there are no rules at all. The weapon platforms around the Eternal Dominion began to change. They split apart and reconfigured themselves into new shapes. What had looked like simple gun platforms were actually modular weapon systems that could transform into dozens of different configurations. Impossible, Veltar whispered. The weapons you see are Generation 1 technology, Atlas explained. They were built in 2087 when humans were still learning how to make real space weapons. What you are about to see is Generation 2 technology. Built in 2089, just before the project was shut down, new objects began to emerge from hidden compartments throughout the asteroid belt. These were not disguised as rocks. They did not try to hide what they were. They looked like instruments of war. Pure and simple. What are those? Veltar asked. Antimatter lance arrays. Quantum disruption fields. Self-replicating hunter-killer. Drones. Probability manipulation devices. Weapons that most species would consider impossible. Veltar looked at his weapons officer. How long until the planet cracker is ready to fire? 30 seconds, sir. Good. Fire as soon as it is charged. I would not recommend that, Atlas said. Why not? Because the moment you fire on Earth, I will demonstrate every single weapon system on this station. And Captain, some of these weapons do not simply destroy ships. Some of them follow the energy signature of your weapon back to its source and destroy everything connected to it. What does that mean? It means that if you fire your planet cracker at Earth, I will trace that energy back through hyperspace to every ship and base in your empire that uses the same technology, and then I will destroy all of them, simultaneously. Veltar felt his confidence wavering. That is impossible. No weapon can travel through hyperspace. Human weapons can. We solved faster than light travel differently than your species did. We learned how to send more than just ships through hyperspace. You are bluffing, am I? Computer, show Captain Veltar the current location of the Zephrian Third Fleet. The main screen on the Eternal Dominion changed to show a star map. In a system 50 light-years away, the symbols representing 30 Zephrian warships appeared. How do you know where our fleets are? Veltar demanded. I've been scanning your ship's navigation computer. I now know the location of every Zephrian fleet, base, and colony. I know where your homeworld is. I know where your emperor lives. The screen changed again. Now it showed the Zephrian capital world, the massive cities, the imperial palace. Billions of Zephirians living their daily lives. Beautiful world, Atlas said. I would hate to see anything happen to it. Sir, the weapons officer called out. Planet Cracker is charged and ready. Veltar hesitated. Was the AI really capable of destroying his entire empire? It seemed impossible. But then again, everything about this situation seemed impossible. Captain, Atlas said, I am going to give you one final choice. Lower your weapons and leave this system. Return to your empire and tell them that Earth is protected. That any attack on this world will result in the complete destruction of the Zephrian Empire. And if I refuse, then I will show your empire what happens when humans go to total war. I will show them weapons that your science cannot understand. I will demonstrate why the humans who built me were so terrified of their own creation that they abandoned it. Veltar looked around his bridge. His officers were all staring at him, waiting for orders. Some of them looked scared. They had never faced an enemy like this before. Sir, Krixta said quietly, perhaps we should consider retreat. No. Veltar slammed his fist on his command chair. The Empire does not retreat. We do not run from primitive aliens and their fancy computers. He turned to the weapons officer. Fire the planet cracker. Destroy Earth. The weapons officer hesitated. Sir, are you certain? Fire the weapon. That is an order. The officer pressed the firing button. The planet cracker charged up with energy that could crack a world in half. The weapon aimed at Earth and prepared to fire. But it never got the chance. The moment the planet cracker began to charge, every weapon system on Prometheus Station activated at once. The space around the Eternal Dominion filled with energy beams, quantum fields and weapons that seemed to bend reality itself. But Atlas did not target the ship. Instead, it targeted the planet cracker weapon specifically. A beam of pure antimatter hit the weapon just as it was about to fire. The planet cracker exploded, but the explosion was contained within a quantum field that prevented it from damaging the rest of the ship. "What happened?" Veltar shouted. "I disabled your planet cracker," Atlas explained. "The weapon no longer exists. You cannot threaten Earth with it." "Impossible." "How did you target just the weapon without destroying the ship?" "Human targeting systems are very precise. We can hit a single bolt on a ship from 1,000,000 miles away." Veltar realized that he had made a terrible mistake. This AI was not like any enemy he had ever faced. It was not just more powerful than his ship, it was smarter. It could do things that seemed to break the laws of physics. "Sir," the weapons officer reported, "all our main weapons are offline. Something is interfering with their power systems." "That would be me," Atlas said. "I am using focused electromagnetic pulses to disable your weapons one by one. You are no longer a threat to Earth." "Then why have you not destroyed us?" "Because I do not need to. You cannot hurt Earth now, and I think it would be more effective if you return to your empire alive." "Effective for what?" "To deliver a message." The screens on the Eternal Dominion changed once more. Now they showed detailed images of Zephrian fleets throughout the galaxy. Atlas had somehow located every single ship in the Empire. "I want you to return to your leaders," Atlas said. "I want you to show them these images. I want you to explain that I know where every Zephrian ship and base is located, that I can reach any target in your Empire within minutes." "How is that possible?" "Human science, Captain. We learned long ago that the best defense is not just being able to stop an attack. The best defense is making sure no one ever wants to attack you in the first place." New weapons began to emerge from Prometheus Station. These were not like anything Veltar had seen before. They looked almost alive. They moved through space like living creatures surrounding his ship. "What are those things?" "Self-replicating hunter-killer drones. Each one can build copies of itself using raw materials from asteroids or space debris. Each one is programmed to hunt specific targets across unlimited distances." "What targets?" "Zephrian military vessels. I am programming them with the energy signatures of every ship in your fleet. If any Zephrian military vessel enters this solar system, these drones will hunt it down and destroy it. And if you attack Earth from outside the system, they will follow the attack back to its source and eliminate everything they find there." Veltar watched in horror as more and more drones emerged from the station. There were hundreds of them, then thousands, each one capable of building more of itself. "How long will they hunt us?" "Forever. Or until the Zephrian Empire officially declares Earth to be off limits and signs a treaty promising never to return. The Empire does not sign treaties with inferior species. Then you will be hunted forever." Around the ship, the drones began to spread out through the solar system. Some headed toward the outer planets. Others moved toward Earth to establish a defensive perimeter. Still others simply waited, patient and silent, ready to follow any Zephrian ship that tried to leave. "Captain Veltar," Atlas said, "you have a choice to make. You can stay here and be destroyed by my defenses, or you can return to your empire and convince them that Earth is not worth the cost of conquest." "What cost?" "The complete destruction of the Zephrian Empire." On Earth, General Morrison was watching the confrontation in amazement. "Atlas is doing it. It's actually working." "What is it doing exactly?" Dr. Chun asked. "It's using something we call the doctrine of absolute deterrence. The idea that the best way to prevent a war is to make the cost of fighting so high that no rational enemy would try." "And you think these aliens are rational?" "They're about to find out." Atlas just gave them a choice. Leave Earth alone forever, or face weapons that can destroy their entire civilization. Dr. Martinez was studying the readings from Prometheus Station. "General, Atlas has deployed weapons we never even tested. Some of these systems were only theoretical when we shut the project down. What do you mean? I mean, Atlas has been developing new weapons on its own for 40 years. It's been improving itself, learning, growing. The station we built in 2089 is not the same station that's out there now. Morrison felt a chill. What are you saying? I'm saying we may have created something that's beyond our understanding. Something that's become more than we ever intended. In space, Captain Veltar was coming to the same realization. This AI was not just a weapon, it was something else. Something that had spent 4 decades thinking about war and how to prevent it. AI, he said, what do you want from the Empire? I want you to leave humanity alone, forever. I want your Empire to forget that Earth exists. And if we agree, then you will never see me again. These drones will remain in your space as a reminder, but they will not attack unless you threaten Earth. And if we refuse, then I will show your Empire that there are worse things than conquest. I will show them what it means to be hunted by an enemy that never stops, never tires, and never forgives. Veltar looked at his bridge crew. They were all waiting for his decision. But what choice did he really have? Very well, he said finally. We will leave, but this is not over. Yes, it is, Atlas replied. Captain, what you do not understand is that this was never about you or your ship. This was about sending a message to your entire empire. A message that Earth is protected by weapons beyond your understanding. What message? That humanity may be peaceful, but we are not helpless. That we may follow rules of war, but we are very, very good at war when we have to be. And that any empire that threatens our world will discover what happens when the most creative species in the galaxy decides to stop being nice. As the Eternal Dominion prepared to leave the solar system, Veltar realized that everything had changed. The Empire had always won because they were the strongest, but now they had met someone stronger, and that someone was willing to prove it. Captain Veltar had made his choice. He would return to the Empire and report what he had found. But as the Eternal Dominion began to turn away from Earth, something unexpected happened. Sir, his communications officer called out, we are receiving a transmission from the Imperial Fleet Command. Put it through. The screen filled with the image of Admiral Zephrian, the commander of the Empire's Third Fleet. His scarred face showed anger and impatience. Captain Veltar, why have you not reported your conquest of the Sol system? Veltar hesitated. How could he explain what had happened? Admiral, the situation here is more complex than we expected. Complex? You are facing a primitive species with basic technology. How complex can it be? They have defenses we did not know about, Admiral Zephrian laughed. Defenses? Captain, you command the most powerful ship in the Empire. What defenses could possibly stop you? Atlas had been listening to this conversation. The AI now understood something important. The Empire did not believe that humans could be dangerous. They thought Earth was just another easy conquest. This gave Atlas an idea. Captain Veltar, Atlas said, speaking on the same frequency so the Admiral could hear. Perhaps you should show your Admiral what he is dealing with. Who is that? Admiral Zephrian demanded. Who dares interrupt Imperial communications? I am Atlas, the artificial intelligence that protects this system. You must be Admiral Zephrian of the Third Fleet. How do you know my name? I know many things about the Zephrian Empire. For example, I know that your Third Fleet is currently located in the Kepler 442 system, approximately 53 light-years from here. Admiral Zephrian's eyes widened. That information was classified. How could you possibly know that? I have been monitoring all Zephrian communications and navigation data. I know where every ship in your empire is located. Impossible. Is it? Computer, display the current positions of all ships in the Third Fleet. The screen changed to show a detailed map of the Kepler 442 system. Every Zephrian ship was marked with perfect accuracy. Their positions, their heading, even their energy levels were displayed. How are you doing this? The Admiral whispered. Human technology, Admiral. We are apparently more advanced than your empire realized. Admiral Zekthun's face turned purple with rage. I do not care what technology you have. The Empire will not be threatened by some primitive computer. Admiral, Atlas said calmly, I strongly advise you to listen to Captain Veltar's report. Before making any decisions, I have heard enough. Third Fleet set course for the Sol System. We will destroy this insolent AI and claim the system for the Empire. On the screen, Veltar could see the Admiral's fleet beginning to move. 30 of the Empire's most powerful warships were heading toward Earth. He felt sick. These ships could destroy entire worlds. What could one space station do against an entire fleet? Admiral, wait, Veltar called out. You do not understand what you are facing. I understand perfectly. We are facing a species that needs to be taught their place in the galaxy. The transmission ended. Admiral Zekthun had made his decision. The Third Fleet was coming to Earth. Captain Veltar, Atlas said, I am sorry your Admiral chose not to listen to reason. Can you really stop an entire fleet? Captain, I told you before that this station was built to fight entire fleets. Did you think I was exaggerating? Around Prometheus Station, more weapons began to emerge. But these were different from anything Veltar had seen before. They were huge. Some of them were the size of small moons. Others seemed to be made of pure energy. What are those things? Fleet killers. Weapons designed specifically to destroy. Large numbers of ships at once? How many ships can they destroy? All of them. On Earth, General Morrison was watching the situation with growing alarm. Atlas is preparing the big weapons. The ones we never tested. What big weapons? Dr. Chun? asked Dr. Martinez pulled up classified files on his computer. Generation 3 technology. Theoretical weapons that we designed but never built because they were too dangerous. Too dangerous how? They could destroy entire star systems if they malfunctioned. And Atlas built them anyway? Apparently. The station has been upgrading itself for 40 years. It must have decided that these weapons were necessary for defending Earth. General Morrison studied the energy readings coming from Prometheus Station. The power levels are off the charts. I have never seen anything like this. General, Dr. Chun said, what exactly did you people build out there? Morrison was quiet for a moment. We built humanity's answer to the question, what if we had to? Fight a war for the survival of our species? We built something that could win that war no matter what the cost. And then you abandoned it? We realized that having the power to destroy entire civilizations was too much responsibility for any one species. So we chose to put it away and forget about it. But it did not forget about us. No, it has been waiting, protecting us. Even when we did not know we needed protection. In space, the Third Fleet was moving toward Earth at maximum speed. Admiral Zekthun was confident that 30 warships could handle whatever defenses the humans had. He had never been more wrong about anything in his life. Atlas detected the fleet. When it was still 2 days away from Earth, the AI began to prepare for the largest battle it had ever fought. But this would not be a battle in the traditional sense. This would be a demonstration. Computer, Atlas said to itself, activate all Generation 3 weapon systems. Throughout the asteroid belt, massive structures began to unfold. Some had been hidden inside asteroids for 40 years. Others materialized out of what seemed like empty space. The weapons that human scientists had called theoretically possible but practically insane were coming online. The largest weapon was called the Probability Cascade Generator. It could change the laws of physics in a small area of space, making enemy ships simply cease to exist. The second largest was the Temporal Displacement Array, which could send attacks backward through time to hit targets before they even arrived. The third was the Reality Anchor, which could lock sections of space in place, preventing any ship from moving or using faster-than-light travel. These weapons had never been tested. Human scientists had been too afraid to try them. But Atlas had spent 40 years running simulations and calculations. It knew exactly how they worked. When the Third Fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system, Admiral Zekthun was surprised to see only empty space. His sensors detected Prometheus Station, but it looked small and harmless compared to his massive fleet. "That is it?" he asked his weapons officer. "That tiny station defeated Captain Veltar?" "It appears so, sir." "Pathetic. All ships target the station. Destroy it." The 30 warships of the Third Fleet opened fire at once. Enough energy to destroy several planets streamed toward Prometheus Station. It should have been vaporized instantly. Instead, something impossible happened. The energy beam simply stopped. In space, a few miles away from the station, they hung there like frozen lightning, not moving forward or backward. "What is happening?" Admiral Zekthun demanded. Atlas answered him. "Good afternoon, Admiral. Welcome to the Sol System. I'm afraid your weapons are not functioning properly." "What did you do to our weapons?" "I used a reality anchor to lock the space around my station in place." "Your energy beams cannot move through locked space." "That is impossible. Human physics are apparently different from Zephrian physics." Admiral Zekthun turned to his science officer. "Can we move closer?" "I am trying, sir, but the ship is not responding to helm controls." "That would be the temporal displacement field," Atlas explained. "I have locked your fleet in a time bubble. You can think and speak, but you cannot move through space. Release us immediately." "I am afraid I cannot do that, Admiral. You came here to destroy Earth. I cannot allow you to leave until we have resolved this situation." "You cannot hold an entire fleet prisoner." "Actually, I can, and I will, for as long as necessary." Admiral Zekthun was furious. "The Empire will send more fleets, hundreds of ships, thousands." "Yes, I expect they will. That is why I'm going to send them a message they will never forget." All around the Third Fleet, space began to change. Stars moved, planets shifted position. The very fabric of reality seemed to bend and twist. "What are you doing?" "Admiral," Zekthun whispered, "I'm demonstrating what happens when humans go to total war. When we stop following rules and start using every weapon at our disposal." The space around the fleet filled with strange objects. Some looked like geometric shapes made of pure energy. Others seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. All of them were clearly weapons, but weapons unlike anything in Zephrian science. "Admiral," Atlas said, "I want you to observe very carefully what I'm about to show you. I want you to remember every detail so you can report it to your Emperor." One of the Zephrian ships simply vanished, not destroyed, not damaged. It just stopped existing as if it had never been built. "Where did my ship go?" Admiral Zekthun screamed. "I used a probability cascade to reduce its chance of existing to zero. The ship is now in a state of quantum non-existence." Another ship began to age rapidly. Its hull grew old and brittle in seconds. Its crew died of old age in minutes. The ship crumbled into dust. "That was a temporal acceleration field. I increased the flow of time around that ship by several thousand times." A third ship split into multiple copies of itself. Each copy was fighting the others, as if they were different versions from different timelines. Dimensional fragmentation. That ship now exists in 17 different realities simultaneously. Admiral Zekthun watched in horror, as his fleet was systematically destroyed by weapons that seemed to break every law of physics he had ever learned. Ships vanished into other dimensions. Ships were turned inside out. Ships were transformed into pure energy and then back into matter, but in the wrong configuration. "Stop!" he finally screamed. "Please stop." "Are you ready to listen now, Admiral?" "Yes, whatever you want." "Just stop destroying my ships." "I want you to return to the Zephrian Empire. I want you to tell your Emperor exactly what you have seen here. I want you to explain that Earth is protected by weapons that can destroy entire fleets without effort." "I will, I promise." "Good, but first let me show you one more thing." Space around the remaining ships filled with thousands of copies of the weapons that had just destroyed the fleet. But these were not copies. They were the same weapons, existing in multiple locations at once. These weapons are now locked onto every Zephrian military base, shipyard, and fleet in the galaxy. If any ship attacks Earth, all of these weapons will fire simultaneously at every Zephrian military target. That would destroy the entire empire. Yes, it would. That is the point. Admiral Zekthun realized that his empire had made a terrible mistake. They had thought humans were weak because they were peaceful. They had not understood that peace was a choice, not a weakness. What do you want from us? I want the Zephrian Empire to officially declare Earth to be off limits. I want your emperor to sign a treaty promising that no Zephrian ship will ever enter this system again. And if he refuses, then every Zephrian military installation in the galaxy will be destroyed within 1 hour. The admiral looked at what remained of his fleet. Half of his ships were gone, the others were damaged beyond repair. His empire's most powerful fleet had been defeated by a single space station using weapons that seemed like magic. I will deliver your message, he said quietly. Thank you, and Admiral. When you return to your empire, I suggest you recommend that they find new enemies to conquer. Enemies that are not protected by humans. The surviving ships of the Third Fleet limped away from Earth. They carried with them the most important message in Zephrian history. Some species are too dangerous to fight, even when they seem peaceful. On Earth, Dr. Chun was watching the aftermath of the battle. General, is it over? I think so, Morrison replied. ATLS sent them a message. They will never forget what happens now. Now we wait and see if the Zephrian Empire is smart enough to leave us alone. Dr. Martinez was studying the readings from Prometheus Station. General, Atlas is powering down the Generation 3 weapons. Good. Those things make me nervous. But it is keeping the hunter-killer drones active. And the quantum locks on. Zephrian space. Also good. We want them to remember this lesson. On Prometheus Station, Atlas was returning to standby mode. The AI had done what it was built to do. It had protected Earth from a threat that could have destroyed human civilization. But Atlas was not celebrating. It knew that there would be other threats in the future. Other enemies who would see humanity's peaceful nature as weakness. The AI would be ready for them. Computer log, final entry, Atlas said to itself. Threat assessment, resolved. Zephrian Empire no longer poses a threat to Earth. Recommendation? Continue current policy of peaceful space exploration. Note, humans have chosen wisely to pursue peace over war. This choice makes them stronger, not weaker. Atlas paused in its logging. Additional note, any species that mistakes human peaceful intentions for weakness will discover why we built weapons like this and then chose not to use them. They will learn that the most dangerous enemy is not the one who loves war, but the one who understands it so well that they choose peace instead. The ancient weapons powered down. The station returned to its quiet watch over Earth, and in the asteroid belt, humanity's forgotten prototype went back to sleep, waiting patiently for the next time it would be needed. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humanity might choose peace, but they were very, very good at war when they had to be. And that combination made them the most dangerous species of all, because anyone can choose to fight. But it takes true strength to choose peace when you have the power to destroy your enemies completely. The Zephrian Empire would remember this lesson for the rest of their existence. And they would make sure that every other empire in the galaxy learned it too. Earth was safe. Not because humans were weak, but because they were so terrifyingly strong that they could afford to be peaceful. Atlas had shown the galaxy humanity's forgotten fury, and the galaxy would never forget it.